Episode 120 of the Interpretation Station is called to order. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode, in particular for those viewers of the Interpretation Station who have Chinese, who have Mandarin in their combination. We've got a very special show for you today because it's not just so. The last few episodes, we've had Miss Zoe Chan with us. You'll all recognize her by now. She's done quite a few with us by now. But we also have a new guest joining us on today's show. We have Ms. Peijun Zhang, if my pronunciation
That's
is
correct.
any
Don't worry.
good. How are you, Peijun?
Oh, I'm good today and happy to be here. I approached both of you because in February, I was checking online if someone could explain better, for example, UN Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I found your video. I found them very useful. Then I started to write to Roland and he answered me. So I thought, okay, maybe I could cooperate with you both and do a bit more of work. I'm a translator and interpreter of Chinese, which is my mother tongue, and I also have language B of English and Spanish, and my C is French. I lived in China and in Spain and particularly in Barcelona for many years. And I studied my Master of Interpreting in London.
Okay, yeah, Barcelona, that's where you're based at the moment. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's great. Yes, that's right. So Peijun, it was all her initiative that we decided to do this. Zoe, before we go on, I just want you to say hello to everyone as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe.
You all know Zoe,
yeah.
eh? Yeah. All right, well, Peijun, as I say, like she said, she contacted me and suggested that we do a show. And on a very, it's interesting. So she contacted me at the end of January or early February.
I think I contacted you exactly one day before the war broke out.
I think it was before that. Well, she contacted me before to say, to do an episode about the situation in Ukraine. Because obviously, we tend to think of it as a European-based problem. But if you're working as an interpreter in international organizations or anywhere, you're inevitably going to be running into what's happening in the Ukraine because you have to interpret it for your own domestic audiences. And so she suggested this, I think early February. I thought, okay, that's a good idea. And then lo and behold, obviously the actual war does go and start. So that was quite prophetic on her Peijun's part. And so I had the idea. So what we're going to basically be doing is looking at a couple of the statements that the Chinese have delivered in the last few weeks since the crisis broke out. Obviously, there's been some big meetings going on all over at the UN, so obviously in New York with the Security Council, but also in Geneva with the Human Rights Council has also been going the last 2 or 3 weeks, since that's been it's been very controversial, shall we say, and lots of other conference and disarmament. So the issue of Ukraine is being discussed in all these different fora. It's even like there's a conference at the Geneva. It's called the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, and it's usually just to do with trade standards and standards for in various industries, not you'd think directly related to war, but even there it gets talked about. So wherever you go, there's no sort of escaping it. Now, the two statements that we've got, actually, well, before we go any further, so if you're going to be doing stuff on Ukraine, one place I'd suggest you visit before to give you some background, because again, maybe if you're from China, your knowledge of the background of the conflict might not be as sort of comprehensive as if you're from Europe. That's just the way things are. I'm sure you guys probably know better the situation with Taiwan, for example, than we do in Europe. So anyway, but one good place to start with is if you go to episode, it's either 7 or 8 of the Interpretation Station. I'm going to leave a card up there. And in that episode, that was actually about a year ago I made it. And it was me interpreting a statement by Putin. And in that, there's 2 episodes. I split it up in half and half. And in that, I actually do about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, giving you the background of the situation in Ukraine, the history, and so on. So that might be a good place to start. And so yes, so for today's episode, we've got Zoe and Pejun have provided me a statement each that they have interpreted simultaneously. Okay, the first one we're going to be looking at is from the Security Council with Zoe, and it's an explanation of vote in the Security Council when there was a vote. A resolution was proposed condemning Russia's actions in Ukraine, and it was quite, it was all over the news because the Russians vetoed it. Okay, the Russians have the power of veto in the council. They vetoed it, and it was also interesting because China abstained from the vote. And then we're going to look at another meeting, this time from the General Assembly. Now that was from about a week later, so the 2nd of March, and then there was a similar debate and a similar draft resolution put forward in the General Assembly, which was adopted. Now there it was adopted because the Russians there's no veto in the General Assembly, as you should all know. There's no dissent. So in the General Assembly, things can just pass with a majority vote. Now, once again, the Chinese, they abstained. And again, they give what is called an explanation of vote. So you have this option, the country, after a vote, can give an explanation of why they voted the way they did. In fact, in the General Assembly, you have what's called an explanation of vote before the vote, and you also have explanation of vote after the vote. So if any of you ever work in the General Assembly, that's something just to bear in mind. Explanation of vote before the vote and after the vote. So with that said, what we're going to now do then is we're going to turn to the statement that Zoe gave us. So we're going to just break this down. They're both about 4 minutes in length, the two statements. We're going to look at interesting vocabulary, any sort of interesting references, political references, historical references, and just see if we can learn some new words, some new solutions for what this is. Again, this is really important language, and I think that the Chinese, they're very specific. About what they want to hear. I imagine that it's similar with the Russians. So when I work from Russian into English, my primary concern is keeping the Russians happy. Actually, it's not the rest of the other delegations in the room. If I don't keep the Russians happy, then they're going to stop me, and there's going to be all sorts of trouble. Chinese into English. Your primary concern, right, is to keep the Chinese delegate happy.
Yeah, because I heard a couple of times that the speaker actually slowed down because he wanted the interpreters to say exactly what he said and have time to say everything he said.
He's monitoring, or his deputy will be monitoring like a hawk what is being stated.
It's a lot of stress, I think, for the interpreters.
Oh yes, I can tell from having to do that with Russian. I can confirm that 100%. It's very stressful. Yeah. So we need to be very accurate with our language. Okay, so let's begin then with the statement at the Security Council then Zoe did for us. All right, so you should be able to see, so we're sharing the screen now. This is from the permanent mission. This is actually from the Chinese permanent mission to the UN. You can find all their statements posted up there. It's good practice. Did they post the audio in the website of the Chinese mission?
No.
No, it's
you can only find in the UN TV, I think.
Yeah, okay, it's just a transcript. But anyway, it's I guess an excellent source, because they also provide the English translations as well of these statements.
Yeah, recently, I think 2 days ago, they started to put even like Russian or French, Spanish
version. Is that
version.
right? Okay.
Yeah, in the English side.
Because that was a speech delivered by Xi Jinping, that's why you have all the big major languages.
I see.
But for the permanent representatives, you only get Chinese and English. And also the Chinese text here, or the Chinese text on this website, is usually the written speech, but when the delegate or the representative delivers it, it can be a bit different. And the English translation follows the written version of the Chinese, so not exactly the same as what the representative actually said.
Okay, so you'll see this. I've noticed, so this is an important thing that Zoe's saying, okay, because obviously it was Zoe and Beijing when they did the statements, when they did their recordings, they didn't have the statement in front of them. They were just doing it as they heard it. So if you look at the because I had to find the English translation, and so I've noticed myself that when I compare the English translation to the what Zoe and Beijing are saying, that there's significant differences, because I guess the official translation, it was done, you know, by one of the official translators at the foreign ministry, and it was all, you know, they have lots of time to put it into the nice English. Obviously, when you're an interpreter, just, you know, having to just deal with what's coming at you, you haven't got that luxury. So that's an important point to note there. Okay, shall we get started then, Zoe?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, China expresses its deep concern over the latest developments in Ukraine. Yeah, so basically that's the first sentence. And you don't get "thank you, Mr. President" in the script, because that's what the representative said on the spot.
Yeah. I think this word 深表关切 in Chinese, like express the deep concern, is almost like a fixed expression because they say it a lot.
Oh, okay. So they express. So yeah, that's it. They don't have the express in the translation I have here. So yeah, China is deeply concerned, profoundly concerned, if you want a synonym.
Yeah.
Gravely concerned. You got a few choices to, a few alternatives. Okay.
The situation has evolved to this stage, which is something that China does not want to see.
Okay. Anything that you would want to say there? Either of you?
I think this one is pretty good.
Okay. I mean, so yeah, as you say, it evolved to the stage. So I guess those are the sort of word for word Chinese words. So maybe in English it would sound more natural to say it has reached a point.
Right.
Perhaps,
yeah, that's slightly in the official translation, right?
Yeah, they say it has come to the point. So I think the neatest English perhaps rendering would be it has reached a point. Reached a stage as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do you think if I say which pains China to see, is that too much?
It pains us to see. Now that's quite good actually. For now, which word is that? What are you rendering when you say that?
So the literal translation is something that China does not want to see.
Okay. That it pains China to see. That's nice. I quite like that. Yeah. Currently, it's reached a point that it pains China to see. Yeah. It pains me to see. I mean, that's a good thing to say actually. To say generally when interpreting, instead of just we regret to say, you know, it pains us to say, it pains me to say. And it's also something I'll say quite a bit just in regular everyday English even. So yeah.
China always determines its position based on the merits of the matter. We advocate for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries. Right, it's kind of two segments.
Mm-hmm. I like how you went with determines its own position. Is that what you would have gone for, Beijing?
Yes, I think so. But sometimes they use a lot like it's consistent or something like that too, I guess.
Okay.
It's consistent
but that's
its position.
Always right.
How did you interpret the first part? Can you? It was a bit low, the voice. Sorry.
You said China always determines its position. You said according to the merits of the matter?
Based on the merits of the matter.
Based on the matter.
Yeah, I think it's good. Okay. Yeah, because there is this Chinese word, 是非曲直.
Yeah.
It's a very Chinese expression.
Yes.
Yeah, did you check it before?
No. So how I came to the merits of the matter, because I listened to the first emergency meeting of the Security Council.
Yeah.
And this exact phrase appeared in that one.
The merits of the matter. The merits of the matter at hand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very good, because I think they say the same thing in your one as well, Paige.
Exactly. So it's a stock phrase that you need to learn.
Yeah,
basically.
this is the thing. I mean, you know, if they're putting this in the here's just a tip, right? Now, if the Chinese, this is the difference between interpreting for English native speakers who are your usual clients, or when you're just wanting to keep the delegation happy, which is the case you can see from the official English translations. And if they're happy with those, maybe those are the expressions they want to hear. And so just give them it. Just give them it.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed they like. I noticed they like to talk about tracks and things. Okay.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
English, we don't
I
always
don't like
talk
it.
about.
Yeah.
But the Russians, so the Russians do this a lot. They have actually a word, trek. They talk about the trek of the Middle East process, and they like tracks. So I give them, I give them tracks.
Yeah, go back to the track of diplomatic settlement.
Exactly. See, the Russians like to say that.
Yeah, the tracks is weird for English native speaker, or it's okay?
A little bit. It doesn't sound 100% English, but they seem to like that. That's sort of, if you know that the delegation likes to hear that, then
okay,
just give them it.
How would you say it as a native English speaker about this
We
track?
wouldn't talk about the track. Because it's always getting back to the track of a diplomatic solution. In English, you'd probably just say we want to try and reach a diplomatic. We just wouldn't say it. We want to I don't know, refocus. We want to refocus on a diplomatic solution. We want to.
Well, I said to return to the negotiation table.
We'd say something like that. We just wouldn't say it. We wouldn't call it anything. We wouldn't say the track. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's not a track, it's a table. So it's a different metaphor.
Yeah,
basically.
this return to the table. I heard some
we'd say
English
something like that. You see.
delegate would say that.
Yeah, exactly. We'd say something like that. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on. You said okay. You said we believe that we advocate.
Yeah.
What did you say again?
I said China advocates the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finish the sentence.
Right. The purposes and principles of the UN Charter must be abided by all.
Okay. Did you say we advocate for? So if you're going to advocate, you want to advocate for.
We advocate for the.
Did you say okay? So if you're going to say
I can't remember.
You need to advocate for something. Okay. Principles and purposes and principles of the UN Charter. That's crucial UN language. Okay. Should be abided by. That's very nice. That's a nice collocation there. Should be upheld. Should be respected. Should be observed. Okay. Those are sort of words we use there. Any comment from you two?
I was thinking this before about the sovereignty and the territory integrity, the respect. I think they always say, like in the Chinese words, this respect, that's what they always say. But also, I think if you use respect, then you don't have to think to use a for, or you just respect something. Sometimes I choose words like that because I don't know what I should use later for or which in, because this is, I think, one of the hard points for a non-native speaker, because you are not like a native speaker. Sometimes you miss this word. So sometimes maybe I just go to the safe choice.
This is the thing. So if you're an English B, then the respect is maybe the easy one just to go for. That's right. I think sometimes in English we use it a bit too much, because the French use it a lot. It's always respecté, lots of things. Well, we say a lot, like in just a normal English speaker would say observing or upholding. So I think that the UN, for example, when I work from French into English, I perhaps use respect too much just because I'm mirroring what the French is saying. But there's that. Okay, but there's definitely nothing wrong with that. It's natural that you're going to just go to that one because it's the easiest one to. The easiest solution. So, but it's always good just to remember a couple of other alternatives as well.
Yeah,
like
but I want to point out, like the Chinese original here is 主张尊重. Basically, that's to advocate for the respect.
Right.
The respect.
I think that's too much. In English, you wouldn't say that, so I left out respect.
One of this, you choose one
advocate
of
for the sovereignty and territorial integrity. I think that's enough. Do you think that's enough, Roland? Does that mean that if I advocate for that, it means that I should be respected?
And I think you probably want the respect. And to be honest, my guess is the Chinese would maybe want to hear the word respect or abided by. I mean, not necessarily respect, but I kind of think they might want to hear a word anyway, you know, so that you're doing something to the sovereignty and territorial integrity. Is just my my sort of impression.
Right. Yeah, I think the official translation is that China believes that the sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected. Yeah. That's slightly longer. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to cut it as short as possible.
Yeah.
I'm doing simultaneous. Yeah.
Go on then.
Right. The next one is.
You know, if you're going to cut it down.
Yeah.
Then you're best at then. If you're really in trouble, and I know because it's hard going into English, right? The Chinese words are so small, English words much longer.
Yeah.
I would say that maybe you would just want to say, drop the "we believe that" or whatever. To say the sovereignty and integrity of all states should be respected, and the purposes and principles of the Charter should be jointly upheld. And then you can drop in that "we think" or "we add" or whatever as you're going along if the opportunity arises, because that "we believe that" or the "we advocate for," what's really important here is the respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity. I'd say that's the most important part of it. Okay, the "we believing," it's kind of redundant, because if they're saying it, that automatically means that they believe that, if you see what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think you're talking about like a manager of time, because I can say I should do ABC. I can say I should do A, I should do B, I should do ABC. But if I say I should do A, B, and C, actually probably save me time, the second choice.
Yeah, definitely. The most important part of that is the respect or abiding by sovereignty and territorial integrity. The "we believing that" can come or go, you know.
Right.
Let's go on.
We always urge all parties to seek, on an equal footing and on the basis of mutual respect, a proper solution for mutual concerns through peaceful means.
Here I can see where the translation has been rejigged, right? Because I can tell from the syntax, Zoe, that you're giving me that it's different to what I have here in the official translation.
Definitely.
I like what you see. We urge all parties. That's a very good synonym, just instead of saying "we called on an equal footing," right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
What was the original Chinese?
在平等和相互尊重的基础上.
Okay, so "on an equal footing" is in English a very good expression in that respect. Okay, so you went for proper solutions. What would you have said, Peijin, there for the kind of solutions?
Oh, I think in Chinese literally meant a reasonable solution. Was it?
Reasonable solutions, yeah. That's what it says anyway in the official translation. Reasonable. So what about appropriate solutions? Would that work? That word in Chinese?
Right. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing when you do this simultaneous is if you think you have one solution and on your hand, it's already good, because it's no time to think about three of them.
Just say it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, because the Russians, it seems to me, I always find that when I do these episodes, we talk about what the Chinese are saying, or when I think what the Russians are saying, the vocabulary is pretty similar. Some of the ideas, like the Russians like seeking appropriate solutions or adequate solutions. So I don't know if what's the word adequate. We're talking about? This reasonable. What's the word in Chinese?
合理.
Okay, so for that word there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on.
A proper solution for mutual concerns through peaceful means. We welcome and encourage all efforts for a diplomatic solution. We support Russia and Ukraine in finding a solution through negotiation.
Okay.
That's the end of the first paragraph.
Any comments you want to make there? Are you happy with that, both of you?
The last one is we support Russia and Ukraine to finding solutions.
In finding.
If you're going to support finding, okay. If you're going to support someone in finding solutions through negotiations.
Because I heard two, then I thought it was wrong, but then said in, yes.
I also know, so I know that Zoe drops Federation, for example, doesn't call them the Russian Federation, just calls them Russia. To me, that's okay. I mean, I think that seems, again, I don't know how the Chinese.
So the Chinese are a bit different. Chinese, it's not Russia or Russia Federation, it's 俄方. 俄方, so the party of Russia, literally. But you will never say that in English.
The Russian, but again, that's again something the Russians say, Rossiyska Storona. The Russians would say something similar to that, yeah. And I would probably just say Russia. I would just say Russia, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I just said Russia.
Russia, yeah.
Yeah, I found the names in the Security Council is a bit, I don't know if it's more casual, because when they have the GA, some big meetings, they will say Great, how United Kingdom, I think the name in the Security Council was only United Kingdom, but in the GA it has the one
United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Then you have to translate everything.
No, just say the UK. Just say the UK.
Yeah, but what I want to say is that if the English is the Russian Federation, then in Chinese you need to say 俄联邦 instead of 俄罗斯, which is Russia.
I mean, for me, when I hear, if they're in French and they're saying La Fédération Russe, I'll just say Russia, to be honest. I don't think I won't lose much sleep over that. I'll just call them Russia. I don't think that's a big deal. Maybe the first time, again, if you're something you're not certain about, maybe the first time you can give them the full name. But after that, I would just say Russia. That's the one. Maybe that. Maybe the first time you say give them the full name. We have that, like the Syrian Arab Republic. The Russians like to call them the Syrian Arab Republic. So, okay, I'll say that the first time, then I'll just call them Syria.
Yeah, Islamic
Republic of Iran. Yeah. Maybe, as I said, maybe the first time. Okay, go on.
In the past week, the Security Council held 2 emergency meetings.
So you break the sentence up. Is that a sentence?
That's a comma. That's a comma in Chinese.
Just show where you are on the text, just so that we all know where you are. Okay. So can you highlight that? Okay.
This part.
Okay, so you turn that into a sentence. That's a very good technique. Okay, just breaking up longest, because that whole paragraph is okay. Where's the sentence actually end there? So
yeah, it's not long, but you don't know.
It's always good. It's always good to chop things up when you're under pressure. It's a good technique.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on.
All parties have fully elaborated their positions and concerns on the issue.
Okay, and I noticed, so that's what they use actually in the official translation, elaborated. Now, I think in this context, I think elaborated works okay. They fully elaborated on their positions and concerns. So in English, often the mistake that people make is in English saying, we have elaborated a plan. Instead of developing, you should be saying developed. It's because of the French will élaborer un plan, but again, in English, that sounds nasty, to elaborate a plan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You want to develop.
Can you say, because I didn't say the official translation, so because it's Chinese word, I wouldn't know how to translate it, this verb here. Can I say, for example, if I don't remember the elaborate, can I use clarify?
Yeah, clarify their positions, articulated their positions, set out their positions. Yeah, those are good words. Good. I think clarify is quite good, actually. Yeah, that works quite well in this context.
The situation is very complex and delicate. Again, I broke it up. So I think the original forgery faced with, I would never start a sentence with faced with in simultaneous.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know what's coming.
That's a good tactic. Yeah, and then just adapt the next sentence.
Yeah,
see how it goes. That's good.
Yeah.
I probably would. I'm okay with doing that, but it's a pretty reasonable decision to make. Just give it as a straight sentence, just as a statement. You say a delicate situation, sensitive situation. Okay, go on.
The council therefore must take necessary and cautious actions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this part is, I simplified it in English.
What I noticed, you just called it the council, and again, I think that you're in the security. Everyone knows that we're talking about the Security Council.
Yeah.
So it's again, you can just say the council. Yeah, I think that's perfectly legitimate.
Yeah. Should I go on?
Or... Yep. Anything from you, Peja? No.
I think it's good because you put the sentence together because you were slower when you were like behind a bit when compared with the talk of the speaker. Because sometimes when you finish here one, you can just put them together.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you merged these. Because the cautious. I noticed that you said a necessary and cautious action, because again, I'm just working from the official translation. I see the cautious comes up in the next sentence, but okay, so you say a necessary and cautious response.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Any action should be able to truly help solve the crisis instead of making it worse. Right.
Okay,
I didn't have the metaphor in it. Yeah, it literally says add fuel to oil, but
I think that's correct because
add
I read
fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Add fuel to the. That's what they give in the official, and that is the expression. Yeah, pour. We talk about also pouring fuel. We'll only pour fuel on the fire. Pour and add, but making it. If you don't know, if you're not certain of the metaphor, then that's. I mean, what you said, you simplified it, and we'll just make it worse. So that's a good technique again, a good coping strategy to use. All right. The one, just a couple of things. You said to solve the crisis.
Solve. It's a bit weird.
Resolve. If you I think both of you maybe use solve.
Okay.
You're going to solve crimes, okay? But when it's a crisis and a conflict, you want to resolve them.
I am very confused with this solve and resolve because I know in French and Spanish they are always resolve. But the English, I saw both. I actually saw both in the Chinese translations. I got confused what they want.
I would say if it's a crisis, it's better, something of this amplitude. It's better to resolve it.
Yeah.
Because you talk about conflict resolution. You don't
not
talk about
solution.
Exactly. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I think to diffuse the crisis, I think that's what the official translation
That's
gives.
correct. Yeah. Diffuse.
Yeah. That's probably better.
Yeah, that's very hard.
Closer to the original.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure to be conducive to diffusing the crisis.
That's again sounds like something that the Russians might say, and
conducive?
But again, you just said to help, and it's much
so
to say.
I cannot make it more English sounding.
Yeah. No, I think it gets the meaning across. I think it gets the meaning across. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. If the response is improper, which means simply to impose sanctions that will lead to more casualties, heavier loss of property, more complex and chaotic situation, and more disagreement. Right,
this is a tricky sentence, right?
It's very tricky. The start of the sentence, I was like, okay, what should I do?
It's very hard because when you say we have to do A, B, and C, in English, the last one you have and C. But when you translate this, you don't know when will be.
You don't know when it ends.
He doesn't give you any indication when it's going to end. I see. Right.
No, because in Chinese, you don't need to have the end.
Yeah, so you don't have the indication.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a couple of just from the English language point of view. You said if the response is improper, is that what you said at the start?
I don't think it's improper. This is the translation.
This is again might be inappropriate again. If
it is inappropriate.
With that, if the response is not appropriate or if the response is inappropriate. Yeah, and then I noticed this expression. Okay, so I've got in I think you skip it actually when you did about the exerting pressure. Is there a bit that talks about exerting pressure and imposing sanctions?
Right.
It's impossible to say the pressure and the sanctions. There are two things.
Yeah.
Is it just going too fast?
So actually, my understanding is like 施压制裁, so that's 4 characters, means to literally to exert pressure and to impose sanctions. But my understanding of this phrase that is to exert pressure by imposing sanctions. So I think that to impose sanctions.
Okay. I noticed because there's in the official translation they talk about blindly exerting pressure, and I noticed they use the same in your one, Beijing. Yeah. So this seems to be an expression that they like. They talk about blindly exerting pressure. Maybe in English you see, I don't know if I personally would say that. Maybe I would say something like arbitrarily exerting pressure, wantonly exerting pressure. Is that what you've got highlighted? Yeah, have you highlighted this expression? The big.
So that's the blindly. I
think, but I'm thinking again that if the Chinese are putting that up, if that's what the expression they're using, it's okay. I mean, you could use it. Maybe that's what they want to hear. Maybe they want to hear blindly exerting pressure, and you just again, if that's what they want.
Sorry, yeah, sorry. In the official translation, they also said sanction, but a bit later.
They say blindly exerting pressure and imposing sanctions.
Okay. Yeah, it's just not possible. In Chinese, it's only 6 characters.
Okay. Okay. Right. So let's and then okay this last bit and it'll lead to more difficulties in so in the official it said bridging differences, which sounds good.
I think I said they'll lead to more disagreement.
Oh, okay, lead to more disagreement.
I interpret as disagreement. Yeah.
Okay, you what do you think, you two? What's the best word for that then?
What was in the official translation here?
Can you see it, Beijing? Can you see it?
In
the initial it said and it will lead to more difficulties in bridging differences.
Oh yeah.
What
divergence? Can you use
divergences?
Divergence.
What about strife?
Strife. Is that too strong? I feel like it's a bit too strong.
It's pretty strong. Strife.
Yeah, strife is almost like conflict.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's pretty strong.
But here, I think fence is more in terms of opinions. That's why I chose disagreement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disagreements, differences of opinion. Yeah. Okay.
The door of peace is going to be shut completely.
So
again, you chop this one up into a smaller sentence. Yeah.
Yes.
Go on.
The victims in the end are going to be.
Sorry, did you hear that part?
The
victims
innocent people.
Yeah.
Just play that last bit. The victims in the end will be. Can you just?
Those innocent people.
The innocent people. Okay. Again, do we have the vast number of innocent people? That's one.
It says go on that. No, I didn't do that part.
No, okay.
This is a hard lesson that we must learn.
I found this part, so this sentence, a bit difficult because I don't quite get what it's trying to say. Is it something in the past?
I think they had this with like some other countries, and it didn't go well.
So it's kind of implied, and I didn't really dare to be too explicit. I think the English version is quite explicit, so the lessons of the past, but here it's not that explicit, and I don't want to overcommit myself. So what I said is also quite vague.
I mean, what you said to me sounds fine. So I mean, but now the hidden, the deeper meaning. What do you think, Asian?
I think they had sanctions with other countries like Iraq, and didn't go well. So China is against sanctions because of the previous sanctions wasn't successful.
Okay.
One of the reasons they say.
So you say we must learn hard lessons from the past.
Yeah. So if you look at the screen, so that the official English versions, we must draw profound lessons from the extremely painful experience in the past. That's much more explicit and elaborated than the Chinese. Yeah.
And it's a lot more words as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So again, try and keep it simple. Okay, go on. Let's have the last sentence of that paragraph.
As a result, China abstained from the draft resolution.
Yeah, so that's the last sentence.
The only thing I'd say is if you're going to abstain, you probably need to say abstain from the vote on the draft resolution.
Okay.
I think you can't abstain from the resolution.
Right.
You need to say abstain from the vote.
Right.
Okay. But if you don't say anything, you can say trying to have no option but to abstain.
Yeah, you could just say that without saying, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we abstained. You don't necessarily have to say from the vote. You can just stop at that was the reason that China abstained. Full stop.
Right. Right. So I don't even.
But you wouldn't if you're going to abstain. If you're going to abstain from something, you can't just abstain from the draft resolution.
Right, from the vote.
Slightly different meaning in theory. So
yeah.
Okay.
I want to stress that the situation in Ukraine did not emerge today, and the current crisis did not take place overnight.
Okay. This sounds good. Peijun, how did that sound like to you?
Yeah, I think it's good. And the 一夜之间you interpreted it as didn't happen from one night.
Did not take place overnight.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed.
Sorry, guys, I have to turn out the light.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
It's getting dark here.
Okay, no worries. Yes, I mean, I noticed in the official thing, I would like to stress that. So just a tip here is that, again, if you're behind, if you're behind, so I'm just saying, so in the official version, it gives, I would like to stress that the issue of Ukraine is not something that emerged just today. If I was running behind, I might just drop all that and I would just go, the issue of Ukraine is not something that only emerged today. It's similar to what I was saying before about we believe that. So just by saying it again, it's implicit that you believe that. So these are little things that you need to watch out for, especially I think going from Chinese into English, where every syllable counts, and every in terms of keeping up with the speaker. Okay, go on.
It is the interplay of many different factors over a long time.
I know you skip it, so it is the result. I think out here it is the result of the interplay of various factors. Did you just?
Right.
Is there a word there?
There is a word for result, but it comes at the very end. So basically, if you want to start saying something, it's a bit impossible to predict that the result is going to come. So this is the sentence, and result comes at the very end. So
if you were just as it comes out, it reads what you could maybe say it's the interplay of various factors over a long period of time that caused this.
All right.
Okay, so with that sort of thing, you need to just try and tweak the English. Okay, so just say something. If you can't get the exact same syntax, just to change it a little bit, but to have that notion, because I think you just said it is the interplay of various factors over a long period of time. The whole point is that it's the outcome of those various factors. It's the result. Right. So if something like that happens, try and think of a way just to adjust it as you go along. Right. Okay, go on.
China advocates for common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security.
This one's nasty as well.
I mean, that sounded good. I mean, in English, advocates for. I mean, okay. There's no. I know you didn't. There's no vision. I see there's a vision in there.
Yes. So that's the problem. The Chinese is 安全观, literally security vision. But does that make sense in English? And also, it comes at the very end.
I guess.
So the English the official English translation splits up the vision and security, which is not possible when you don't have the text.
So as the Chinese read, it's like China advocates common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security.
Security vision.
And then suddenly you have this vision at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. That's how it's.
Maybe you could say, China advocates common, comprehensive, cooperatives, and sustainable security. That's our vision. We believe. Something like that. Again. Yeah,
that's like 5 more syllables.
That's more syllables. So again, if you had the time, that might be a way of capturing the idea of the vision.
Right.
Okay. Again, but I think even without the vision, I think it sounds fine. You could probably just leave the vision out if you're gonna lose too much distance, if you're gonna fall too far behind. But again, that's one way you could maybe get around it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
China believes that the security of a country should not be achieved at the expense of the security of another. Regional security should not be safeguarded by strengthening or expanding military alliances.
Okay. Again, if you had fallen behind, you see, China believes that. Again, you could probably just drop that if really needed be. Just say one country's security cannot be achieved at the expense of the security of others. Then, okay, you said safeguard. You said that the regional security. So here in this official translation, it says should not rely on.
The literal translation is of the verb here. 保障 is going to safeguard. Rely, that's 依赖, I would say. If you want to have a word for word. A more literal translation.
Maybe should not be guaranteed.
Yeah, maybe guaranteed. That's a better word. Yeah, I feel like safeguard is a bit weird.
Safeguard sounds a bit strange in that context.
Yeah. I think guaranteed is the kind of the right word. Yeah. And I want to ask you one thing. So I used military alliances, and the official translation uses military blocks.
Blocks, right?
Is that a difference? Just from the English, is that a difference between the two terms?
Not a huge difference. A block is, I think the block is slightly better. I'd say that word, the blocks, they often talk about the block mentality. We need to get away from the block mentality. So certainly when it comes to military affairs, block is perhaps the better word. And just with your pronunciation, you sound like you're saying expend. You make sure you're saying expand. Can you say it expand?
Right.
You say it again a bit later on as well. So just watch your
over my mouth
pronunciation. Yeah.
Right. So NATO is a military bloc.
I mean, it's an alliance as well, isn't it? It's called because it's NATO stands for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but often it's used as an alliance, the NATO alliance. So it's both.
Right.
The blocks is about the Cold War. I think the concept from the Cold War of East Bloc, West Bloc.
Exactly.
Sorry, guys, I muted myself for like 2 minutes. And
no,
you wasn't
I know
you've
gone a bit quiet. Yeah. That's a very good point. So blocks. There's not a huge difference. There's not a huge difference. Yeah.
The legitimate security concerns of all countries should be respected.
My gosh, legitimate security concerns. That's a mouthful.
That's word for word what the official one was.
This is also word for word.
I think this is what the Russians want to hear. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
NATO expanded eastward 5 times.
Oh, yeah. So here again, it sounds like expend. So make sure expand.
Oh, okay. Right. Expand. Right.
Okay. And then see, I noticed you drop. Yeah, you turn that into a short sentence, right?
Yes.
How long is the Chinese sentence in the original? It's just that little bit, and I get you.
But when you hear, so it's kind of it's wrapped around this structure. 在 some 情况下, when you hear 在, you don't know what comes after.
Okay.
So the meaty part
Is that the against the backdrop?
Yes, so it's almost like you were only here against at the very beginning and the backdrop at the very end. And the most important part is the 北约东扩, so the expansion of NATO. So I just got the meaty part out first.
That's good. That's sensible, I think. Yeah, you just again just give little statements and then you can adjust accordingly if depending on.
I think sometimes you can use considering then you say something, because this doesn't matter, then you say considering or facing the situation, then you can start the next sentence wherever you want, probably.
Yeah, but it means you have to finish the whole sentence. So the way that Zoe did it, I would say, is it just gives us, she's automatic, she's got that chunk of it out. And if you're going to make it, if you make it more complicated, if you go with like in view of the 5 successive rounds or against the backdrop, you need to make sure that that second half of that sentence all comes out, that you can finish it. Because if you don't finish it, the whole fucking thing will go up in flames. So the way that Zoe did it, she's getting, but she knows she's got at least that bit that's come out. All right, go on.
Security concerns of Russia should be taken into account and adequately addressed.
So the legitimate security concerns of Russia.
Good. Is it the concern? I notice in the official they give aspirations.
Aspiration?
Oh.
No.
Wait, let me see.
That's just what they say in the...
诉求, aspiration. Do you find it strange to say aspiration?
I think it's a bit strange. They always use concerns.
Okay.
Aspirations.
I mean, literally, concerns should be 关切. But here it's a bit different. 正当诉求 legitimate. 诉求 is more like request. Aspiration, isn't that?
Is it aspiration always aspire something good, like human rights?
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an ideal. To be honest, I don't quite agree with aspiration here. But
I don't think it would. I don't think it would make a big deal. I don't think there's much to quibble over.
Right.
Okay.
Ukraine should be a bridge between the East and the West, instead of being a frontier of great power rivalry.
I like what you said, this great power rivalry. That sounds really good. I know. So the one word I'd ask you about here is what the frontier.
That's a literal translation.
Is that right? Is that the word for frontier?
Yes, that's the word used in Chinese.
Okay.
I know they use a different word in the official English version.
I think like a outpost, something like that.
Outpost. Yeah. I mean, good luck with trying to come up with an outpost off the top of your head doing this. So I mean, I think that's a pretty reasonable attempt. If that's the word for frontier, then I don't think anyone could again really complain too much about that.
Right.
Or not a theatre for confrontation. I mean, you talk about theatres. That's actually not a bad word to have. Okay, a theatre of conflict. Like when there's a war going on, you've got the different theatres. So I don't know what you would say in Chinese if there's something similar. No, we often talk about which theatre.
We say like frontier, no, something in between, like a buffer state.
We strongly call for maximum restraint of all parties concerned.
Should I finish the sentence? I think there's
for de-escalation and to avoid civilian casualties.
Okay, that we strongly call on. Just give me that. What's that in Chinese?
我们强烈呼吁.
I mean, one again here, urge might be better. It's much quicker to say than we. Okay, strongly call on 4 syllables. Urge would just take care of that in one. We urge all parties concerned.
Right. I deliberately didn't use urge because I used urge.
You used it before, right.
So I wanted a bit of variation.
Yeah. Okay. I get that.
And because there's 强烈, so it's different from here. So in the first paragraph where I said we always urge, that's
encourage. You say we encourage.
That's true.
I think it's a bit weak. 呼吁
Can we strongly encourage?
You can strongly encourage, maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
More syllables, but yeah, you could say that. And I like exercise maximum restraint. That's like real classic Security Council.
Yes.
Yes, exercise
expression.
restraint.
That's we're calling you them to exercise maximum restraint. They say that all the time. And then I noticed you say so to de-escalate.
Yeah, for de-escalation, so it's much shorter than to like ease the tension.
Tensions. That's I think either or is good. I mean, I think that's good to de-escalate. Okay, avoid civilian casualties. Okay, go on.
The final resolution of this crisis requires a rejection of the Cold War mentality.
Right, I just stopped here. So
Put a full stop.
I wrote
Okay.
the sentence here. Yeah.
So you said the resolution. So that's good that you said resolution. Settlement. Always have those two words as synonyms. Resolution, settlement. You talk about rejecting the Cold War mentality, abandoning the Cold War mentality, leaving it behind, leaving the Cold War
aside.
Setting aside. That's good
aside,
as well. Yeah. Okay.
The legitimate security concerns of all countries need to be valued and respected.
Right, so the second part is full sentence.
That sounded good, yeah. Anything, Pejun, anything you want to
I think I probably wouldn't have time to say all this because it's lots of words in English.
Okay.
I probably only be respect.
I was going to say, that's a good point, isn't it? When you've got something like that, when they're more or less synonyms, give full attention and respect. You may, if you're in trouble, you probably want to drop.
Yeah, I will probably just say respect.
Yeah.
Dialogue needs to be carried out for a balanced, effective, and sustainable security mechanism in Europe.
I was going to say, so you use dialogue, and I see here in the official they have negotiations.
It should be negotiation. It should be negotiation. I don't know why, but at that time, I just said dialogue. And I didn't have time to correct myself.
Quite this. I mean, you'd probably be okay, but if you want to shorten it, because negotiations is a bit of a mouthful, you just say talks.
All right.
Conducting talks. That's, I think, maybe a better synonym of shorter synonym of negotiations. And again, you've got a whole list of adjectives: balanced, effective, and sustainable. Again, in your shoes with the way, it's probably reasonable to drop maybe one of those adjectives.
Balanced, effective, and sustainable.
Yeah, if the guy's going fast, I think it's probably okay to drop one.
Yeah, this European
might complain, to be honest.
If they have
effective, a balanced, sustainable European security mechanism. I mean, again, because otherwise you might miss the start of the last of the next sentence, and that it's always about you've got to make the judgment. Okay, I'd lose one adjective.
Yeah.
But then I get the next sentence. That's good. Whereas, okay, I get all three adjectives, but then I lose the next half, or the first half of the next sentence. That's not good at all. So it's just you have to cut your losses sometimes. Accept that you're going to lose a word here and there, but that you'll get the overall picture better.
We urge all parties to return to the negotiation table for a political solution, to show good faith, to make political decisions, and to carry out dialogue and consultation for a full resolution of the Ukrainian issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Right, that's the end.
Yeah, they're calling on. There is a lot of calling on and urging.
A lot of urging.
I guess another way of getting around that again is that you could just say all parties should immediately come back to to drop the recall again if it's going really fast, and that will essentially get across that same meaning. You come back to the table of the negotiating table. Yeah, that last sentence was pretty good, I think. Comprehensive settlement of the Ukraine issue. Pei-Jun, anything you want to add on that last sentence?
I think you get everything here, and they didn't get the track though.
The track, the famous track.
Just like drop the track. Doesn't sound nice.
Okay, so that's the first one. So now we're going to turn to the second document. Let's get the second one up then, if we can.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll turn to our second text now. So this, as I say, was from the 2nd of March, delivered at the General Assembly. Once again, explanation of vote after the vote. Okay, the next voice you'll hear will be Pei-Jun's, and we'll see again, there's going to be quite a lot of overlap in vocabulary, quite a few expressions that obviously the Chinese like to use on this issue. So let's get started.
Okay. Mr. President, the situation in Ukraine is changing sharply, and the development is heart-wrenching.
Okay, stop there.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, the one thing I'd say here is that the changing sharply. Maybe if you want to just minimize, just put it the groove music bit. Just.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the changing sharply, I don't really like that as a collocation with to change. So has changed drastically, maybe. In the original they give dramatically. So yeah, changed abruptly.
Because I think the changing sharply I also copied in one of this speech before that they wrote.
Oh, they used sharply, did they? In the
yeah, but it's probably a Chinese person writing
it.
Yeah,
see, that doesn't that doesn't sound that. You know, there's things like the blindly. What do we talk about? The blinded exerting pressure. I can live with that. Yeah, the change sharply doesn't sound right. And what's happening is indeed heart-wrenching. That's which word is that then in Chinese?
The last one is like pain,
heart-wrenching, heartbreaking. Maybe we'd say both are good. I mean, I think maybe I'd more like to say heartbreaking, but certainly heart-wrenching is a very good word. Yeah.
Okay, then I continue.
Go on. Yeah.
Development is heart-wrenching. Our position on this issue has been consistent and clear.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
I noticed you just say our position on the issue. So does it say in the original it says China's basic position? You say our.
I think it said the position of Chinese party, but
this party, right.
Yeah, but I think sometimes if the country is in China, it's fine, but it can say China's position. But if it's the United States position, it's very long, so it sometimes say our.
No, I think that's fine generally. Yeah. I think that's okay. Yeah, ours. Yeah. Consistent and clear. So here again in the official they give unequivocal. I don't know if that is that the way that you usually is the word for clear. Is that the one you usually go with? I mean,
I think this word. I don't know if 周也可以明确的. I think it's like clear in Chinese. I didn't think of unequivocal, but probably they always say that word, which is of a higher register.
High register.
Yeah, higher register, and often hear that in the Security Council. But then again,
categorical,
much longer.
So
categorical.
A synonym would be categorical, but again, I think it's harder to say. But so it's good to know them as synonyms, but also sometimes you haven't got the luxury of giving these sort of high register words. Something is clear, and is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then
go on.
I continue. We have always respected the sovereignty and territorial integrity of each country. Based on the purpose and principles of the UN Charter, we think that a Pacific settlement is in the interest of all the parties.
Okay.
I think I wanted a bit too long because I said I have to add the in the interest of all the parties because I just can't cut it there anymore.
Okay, so you added. Okay. There was one thing that I was going to point, an interesting little thing I was going to say. Pacific settlement. That's an interesting choice of words. If you watched the episode that I did on the UN
I
Charter.
remember that. You said it's a way to show off. I was like, okay,
that's right. That's
it.
right. So that's it. So I'll put a link to that episode just there. So in the Charter, it actually talks about Pacific dispute settlement, I think, is the chapter in the Charter. So this Pacific, that's what the original wording was in the 1950s. So nowadays we are more likely to use peaceful, but so what Peijian said isn't technically wrong. So that she's almost quoting the original Charter when it talks about Pacific. Probably peaceful is better. I don't know, I'm just wondering what the Chinese delegate would think if you heard Pacific. You may want to play safe and go with peaceful.
What was in the original? Oh, well, in the standard translation they offered.
Pacific. I think the chapter is called Pacific Dispute Resolution or Pacific Conflict Resolution.
Yeah. I mean, this one, the Chinese one.
So the official English translation should be resolved peacefully.
Okay, resolved peacefully. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I just want to add that I think here passive voice would work better. You don't need to add more stuff. You said we always respect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of each country, but I think the Chinese is trying to say sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries should be respected, like by all other countries.
Yeah, I know, but I heard the respect
slightly different, I would say. It's not just China does that. China believes that it should always
be respected. As a general rule, it should be respected.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I said the way, I heard the way, I heard respect, then I just decided to go on with the verb I hear.
Right. I mean, I guess if you hear the verb and you just want to get it out of the way, there's that, I mean, again, that element to it. You just say, okay, we respect all countries' sovereignty and territorial integrity. It's a sort of, I can understand why you might do it like that, even though the meaning isn't quite the same.
I don't think it's a big deal.
No. Okay, go on.
At the moment, the most important thing is to ease the tension, to avoid escalation. Both parties have held.
Okay,
I didn't say the out of control. I think there was something out of control.
There was, What we'd so I mean in the original it gives it even getting out of control. Alternatives in English, like we talk about
spiral out of control.
Spiral out of control. Spin out, spiral, spin. You can say either or, spiral or spin out of control. To avoid an escalation. Okay. I know it's you said about ease the tensions on the ground. Is tension?
I said
the
ease
word
the tension. I said ease the tension.
Which word is that?
The first part. Wait, I didn't say the field. I just said ease the tension. The tension on the field.
On the ground. If it's a war, we usually talk about it being on the ground.
On the ground.
Yeah. Okay. Go on.
Okay. Ease the tension to avoid escalation. Both parties have held the first round of negotiation. Even with some disagreement, they both showed the intention to continue. We will. Okay. I think here I had some disagreement, but I didn't say the S. That's another problem of not being native speaker. You sometimes forget the plural.
What didn't you say? It sounded all right.
I said even with some disagreement. I didn't say disagreements.
Yeah, disagreements. Yeah, despite their in the original it gives me despite their differences, which I think is actually good. But disagreements. Yeah, despite the disagreements, despite disagreements, both sides have shown an intention. I think I prefer a willingness, as in the original, a willingness or a readiness. Yeah. A willingness or a readiness to continue negotiations or talks again. Remember, talks is a good sort of quick solution alternative. Okay,
then we go on. They both showed the intention to continue. We welcome this progress Facing complicated and sensitive situation, China call upon international communities to stay committed to the overall direction of diplomatic settlement, and we should create a sound condition for direct dialogue between two parties.
Okay.
I think here means they had the atmosphere and condition, but I already heard at that point. I already heard Miss President, so it was like, okay, I have to stop.
You have to right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of things I would say here.
Yeah.
International, so you want international community. I mean, I think this was just a one-off mistake. You said usually, often, people say you shouldn't correct yourself. That generally, it's sort of said that you should just go on if you've made a mistake is the usual sort of philosophy, and I think that's right. I think with some of the international community, I think the way you went and corrected yourself, I think it was understandable to correct yourself.
I think it's a fixed expression.
Yeah, you need to get the international community, and you do later on. I mean, they repeat it, and you do say international community. So that's definitely you don't want to say the international society. I like how you say to stay committed to the overall direction of the. I mean, again, this is something that the idea that the Russians might also talk about the overall direction of the political settlement. Whereas in English, you might just say stay committed to reaching a political settlement. We probably wouldn't talk about directions, just like we wouldn't necessarily talk about tracks, exactly. But I think under the circumstances, it's okay. You say an enabling atmosphere, I think is
I saw like I heard favorable enabling sound. I heard all of this.
Or even conducive.
Conducive, very good.
I think conducive it works better here instead of like
especially conducive
to doing something. Yeah.
You know what? I have them as synonyms: conducing and often talk about an enabling environment.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say that even though 氛围, the Chinese 氛围, I think the English environment might work better than atmosphere.
You know what?
Would you say that?
Conducive conditions, CC. Enabling atmosphere, enabling environment, EE. So they're slightly better. Conducive and conditions go slightly better, and enabling environment goes slightly better. So that's just a little is that a little mnemonic just to remember how the collocation. Okay, to foster. Yes, you said to create, and you said to create.
I said to create.
The atmosphere. That's fine. That's
foster
fine,
would work too.
Foster's very nice. Yeah, that was the original. Okay, go on.
Okay. Mr. President, all the actions taken by UN and its relevant bodies should put regional peace at its core and to safeguard safety of all the regions in order to diffuse tension and achieve a diplomatic settlement. Yeah, this is very long, the whole sentence.
Yeah, it's quite hard.
The relevant parties, I'd be inclined to just leave out the relevant. You often just talk about the parties to a conflict.
Or the parties concerned.
Maybe they'll say the parties concerned, but you could say that as well, yeah. Again, I think you could just leave it out and the parties. We know who the parties are.
Yeah.
Now, what's this? So now in the original, you say, okay, to put at its core. In the original, I have give priority to. Which word is that?
Yeah, because the priority come to the end, and
I see. Right.
Yeah. I would just say to prioritize.
To prioritize. That's what I was going to say. But if the priority doesn't come until the end, that makes it a bit trickier, doesn't it?
It's a bit different here. So it's kind of split in two parts. So Chinese is a bit repetitive. So the literal translation is to put something as maybe at the core or as the center and put be at the center. So you are here priority twiise. When you hear the first time, I think it's possible to say to prioritize regional peace and stability, as well as the common security of all parties.
Yeah,
maybe
that would
combine
be
it
ideal. That would be ideal.
Prioritize as a word is very handy because it means you don't have to say we need to attach priority to these long length. There are a few sort of lengthy ways of doing this in English, like attach priority to give priority. We can just say prioritize. That one word just covers all one word instead of four. And then, okay, one other thing I was going to say, okay, you talk about the safety a lot, where you should really be talking about not safety, but
security.
Security, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sick. I think when in doubt, generally go for security for that. Whatever that, what's the word in Chinese?
I think it's security, right?
Yeah. So in Chinese, it's the same word. So safety and security are both translated as 安全.
Yeah, it's like
then,
Russian. It's the same word.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the tricky part is when the delegate who speaks English says safety and security, you can't just say 安全.
Yeah, right.
It's 安全和安保. Then in that context, security will be translated as 安保.
Yeah, because they say, I heard this 安保 in the nuclear power station in Ukraine, and they say this safety and security.
Right. There can be that's when they talk about sort of nuclear power stations, you can get it's not always clear whether they're talking about the security or the safety. It can be sort of they could be both, but generally when you talk about conflict and things, it's always more likely you're safer going with security.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Okay.
Oh, you said okay. Yeah, you talk about diffusing tensions. That was good. That's always a good collocation again, to have to diffuse tensions.
Okay, then we go on.
Yeah, go on.
Wait, one moment. However, we regret that this draft resolution submitted to the emergency special session was not discussed among all the members. I think here I have a problem, not a problem. This one, ideally, 磋商 should be consultation.
Right, was okay. I mean, I see in the official they talk about undergoing consultations.
Yeah, but it just didn't come to my mind, so I was
but I think
okay,
what
discussion.
You said sounded all right. It wasn't fully maybe the full. You need maybe because the impression I get has not undergone full consultations. Suggests to me that it was sort of partly discussed, but not fully, shall we say? So I think that full. Was not fully discussed. Maybe you said was not fully discussed within the whole membership. That's the one thing that I would maybe quibble with you. But,
okay, and we'll do next. The next one is very long.
Okay.
Yeah. And it did not consider the history and the complications behind this crisis.
Okay.
It's neither emphasized on the principle of indivisible. Yeah.
It does nor does it take full. What did you say? Doesn't fully consider, did you say? I
said it did not consider the history and the complications behind this crisis.
Okay, a short thing that I'll sometimes say is to reflect as well, rather than to take into consideration, take into account.
Yeah,
often just the word reflect will do that job. Nor does it fully reflect the history and complexity of the current crisis, rather than complications. I think sounds a bit better.
Right.
What they use in the official translation, history and complications.
The history and complexity.
Complexity.
Right. I just want to add this 历史经纬和复杂矛盾 is also a stock phrase that you are going to hear a lot. I've heard it in the discussion of the Ukraine issue.
Could you just highlight it?
Yeah.
And also in the discussion on Israel.
Yeah.
Palestine, the Palestinian problem. Yeah. And I heard the Chinese interpreter saying the historical factors instead of just the history, the historical factors or behind the crisis. Yeah.
Or the historical backdrop, the historical background too, maybe. Okay, that's an interesting thing to know. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think I go a bit more. That this draft resolution submitted to the emergency special consider the history and complications behind this crisis. It neither emphasized on the principle of indivisible security or the possibility of political settlement and the urgent need, not the urgent need of diplomatic effort. I always had a problem of the grammar here, I think. Because I was neither no two things, and it came the third. I was like, oops.
Yeah. Maybe just drop the neither nor. I will never use it in simultaneous. I will not start my sentence with neither.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid that I will forget what I actually said and mess up the sentence structure. So I just cut it.
Okay.
Like to say they did not, or they
That's not a bad
Yeah.
idea. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's easier in the end because you don't know how long it will drag.
You never know. You never know. Yeah.
With
I think it's better to play safe.
Just one thing I'd say, the emphasize, no on, so it doesn't emphasize. Okay, emphasize is okay, but it doesn't emphasize the importance.
So you don't use on?
No on, no. It doesn't emphasize, it doesn't stress the importance. Whatever you can stress is a sort of shortcut word. Indivisible security, that was good. Urgency of approaching political settlement. I know it's in the original it gives me stepping up diplomatic efforts. Is there what word are they rendering when they say step up?
No, I think 加大 is 加大 step up diplomatic effort.
Okay.
突出 is stress. Yeah, 加大
stepping up, intensifying. You can also intensify.
Yeah, intensify would be good and also short.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say maybe two things together. No, intensify the
political settlement, so it doesn't really work.
I wouldn't intensify the political. I think
you can't
promote. I mean,
promote. Then intensify the efforts.
You can further a political settlement to further instead of often I find myself saying promote a lot when I'm working. Again, maybe it's because with French you always think promouvoir, this and that and the other. So sometimes you can further something, advance something to advance a political settlement, to further a political settlement. Okay.
All of this mentioned do not stand with our consistent position on this issue.
Just stop
we had no option but to...
Yeah, I didn't like this. The all of this mentioned, you may say all the aforementioned.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, just to sound for good English. I mean, you can just say all of this. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. All of this then, comma, then go on.
It's not in line with China's consistent position. Yeah. And then we have, okay, I've just finished that paragraph.
Yeah, to abstain.
This
draft consistent position on this issue, and we had no option but to abstain this draft resolution. The problem same like the vote we said before, right?
Yeah, so that's it. If you just said to abstain, full stop, it would have been lovely.
I know. Yeah.
But if you're going to say a vote, then you have to say to abstain from the vote.
On the resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll go on here. Mr. President, in order to solve the crisis in Ukraine, we have to give up the mentality of Cold War.
Stop.
We shall not give up is not good.
So this is no, it's good. No. I'm just going to say this is like again they're saying the same thing as they said in Zoe's statement, aren't they? It's just interesting that they're repeating. The only thing I would say is you say solve. So the same sort of mistake. So to solve, you want to resolve the crisis. Requires giving up. No, giving up the Cold War mentality is fine.
And we shall not guarantee our safety at the expense of other countries' safety, and we shall not reinforce military groups in certain regions. And we should consider the legitimate concern
stop.
of safety of.
So again, he's talking here about, isn't he, the military blocks like we had before. So again,
It's
just
the same thing.
Yeah.
So this, they're doing a lot of abandoning here, at least going by the original. This abandoning the Cold War mentality, abandoning the logic, abandoning the approach. So you probably want a couple of different, refraining from, for example, refraining from ensuring one's own security is another synonym here. Eschew, so that's a very high one. This is a
high register,
high register to eschew.
I think here I already got into the survival mode. Like I'm
okay.
just going.
It's always the survival mode.
Yeah. Okay, then I will go on.
Groups in certain
Go. Okay.
regions, and we should consider the legitimate concern of safety of some countries, and we should start negotiation in order to achieve a balanced, efficient, and sustain European safety mechanism.
So again, he's using the same group of adjectives, the same package: balanced, effective, and sustainable.
Yeah, it says sustain.
Yeah, not sustain. Yeah, sustainable.
They're the same.
I think one thing I'd say, you're weeing a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot of wees. Sometimes sometimes you want to say maybe China does this. China,
okay.
And I know that happens a lot when you're in sort of when you're in trouble and you're just trying to hang on. You do that. You end up saying we quite a bit. So
you're in the survival mode, then you just get to the only thing.
Exactly. We what we're doing. So just be careful. If you are going that way, then at least let's say China, let's say.
I want to add that actually here it's not about China. China is just saying that some countries, what China's referring to should reject the Cold War mentality, should not protect one country's security at the expense of something, should carry out talks, should carry out negotiations.
Then what you want in that case is there is a need to.
Or use passive
if you want it to be neutral, if you want it to be neutral, say something like there is a need to.
Because
then you're
in
not
English, you have this choice of third person. In Chinese, I think you always say we should, and it's always a person. But in English, you can say there is something, there is a need.
In Chinese, actually, you don't need to have a subject, so it's all implied. Like here, you don't know who's doing what.
Is it like in French, like il faut?
Yes, I think it's something like that.
That's a bit annoying because in English that can be tricky because often we'll say you have to do that, and it's almost like you're talking to the. It's not there's not quite that same neutrality as il faut, for example, in French.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying that there is a need to kind of gives that neutral
because you
dimension.
use 5 times we should, then it's just not nice. 2 times it's okay.
And who's the we?
There is a need to.
Okay, then continue.
All the unilateral all the sanctions and the provocation of division will lead to a more complicated situation. Furthermore, the negative effect might extend to other countries.
Okay, stop.
We call upon international.
This negative effect has a spillover, some words like that, I think.
Spillover that could result in a rapid negative spillover of the crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, I think impact, if you're going to go with like an effect, I think impact is a better word than effect. Effect's quite, I don't know, there's not really much to it, that word. The impact, it might have a negative impact. I would say. And again here, blindly exerting pressure. Provoking, you talk about provocation of division and confrontation. I think a good collocation of that might be to fuel division and confrontation. Is when it's in that I know what I get why you said provoking, because it's probably the same again in other languages. I can imagine there's that's the word when that's used with division and confrontation. But I think to fuel, and it's something bad. We would talk about fueling it. Provoking tends to be when I'm trying to get you to do something. It's more of on a personal level, I'd say, almost.
Okay.
So yeah, fuel, division, and confrontation. And that was good. Okay, extend to even more countries. Zoe, is there anything you want to pick up on in that sentence?
Not the spillover effect, because in Chinese it literally says 外溢. So I guess it'll be good if you can get the spillover.
Think of it at that moment
to keep the delegate happy.
Yeah.
But though I'm not entirely sure if the negative thing is necessary. Negative spillover.
The negative.
I thought spillover is always negative.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I don't think you need
by
to
its
say
nature
negative
negative.
spillover.
Yeah. That's definitely somewhere where you could drop a word, I think.
Yeah.
Extends to even more countries, spread to even more countries.
Yeah. Okay, we continue.
Okay.
Effect might extend to other countries. We call upon international community to adopt a responsible attitude. In this way, all the parties can get back to the track of diplomatic settlement as soon as possible, and we shall start negotiation in order to solve the crisis in Ukraine.
Okay, stop.
China is willing.
Okay, so to adopt a responsible attitude. That's nice. Adopt a responsible approach. I don't know if that's that word is an attitude and not an approach. I think they're different words.
Yeah.
In Chinese, okay. And then you say, okay, there's about return to the track again of the political settlement.
Yeah.
The word you said. What were you going to say?
I think the last sentence I missed something. The last part, they have negotiation and
dialogue and
consultation. I think.
Yeah. Also, it's like a comprehensive resolution.
Yeah.
Something.
Yes. Right. Comprehensive. Yeah. They probably want to hear that word, a comprehensive solution, whatever, to the crisis, resolution to the crisis. To seek a comprehensive solution, to reach as an alternative. Anything else? Anything that you want?
No, I just think I missed the comprehensive because I was thinking the consultation and the dialogue. And I missed both. I didn't say both things correct. Then I thought it's not a good idea if you just hang on there and
I think as a tactic, again, I mean, dialogue and consultation, you could probably drop the consultation. You could probably say use dialogue.
Yeah.
To
you
reach
shouldn't hang in there and think that you'll miss the next thing too.
Yeah. Okay, and then just play. I think
the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In order to solve the crisis in Ukraine, China is willing to constructive role in this process. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. So straightforward at the end, is ready, is willing to continue. All right. So that was two statements then by China at the Security Council and General Assembly. And I think that it's very good to study these statements because I think they do give you a lot of the basic vocab that the China are probably going to be using and repeating a lot when delivering statements on this situation. So what I will be doing is I will be leaving the links to both of those two statements as usual in the description box down below, together with links so that you can go and listen to the audio. And again, as I usually do, I recommend that you try and you record yourself interpreting these two statements, and then come afterwards, watch the show, see what me, Zoe, and Peijun have to say, and compare and contrast your own solutions for some of these expressions. Zoe, Peijun, how was that for you?
It's very helpful.
Did you learn a couple of new sort of useful tips?
Tricks.
Tricks?
Yeah, I think it's good because in the end they are quite repetitive. I'm sure they are using the same vocabulary in other issues as well.
Yeah. I'd say for you the most, I mean, it's a security, and then this, there is a need to, as a sort of, as I say, this good sort of bailout solution when you're having in real trouble, when you we have to do this just to stop yourself from weeing too much. What about you, Zoe? Any comments from you?
I've been following this whole Ukraine crisis quite closely. So I did listen to the 2 emergency meetings live. I was watching it. So the vocab probably came to me more readily, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a lot of repetition. But then I also realized that small words matter. So like comprehensive resolution, you have to say the comprehensive. Full consultation, the full is very important here. Because the speech or the wording of the Chinese representative just changes slightly from one statement to another. So it's very important to reflect the change. You don't know what's going to change, so you need to try to catch everything. I think that's the difficult part.
Yeah, it's very difficult when it's also not your mother language because you can't play so many tricks on them. Because when you speak Chinese, you're like, whoever, I'm going to be able to finish this sentence.
You got all the time in the world going into Chinese, right? But then when you go into English, it's like,
and the sentence structure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ladies, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe Beijing, we can have you back again. We can do this.
Yeah,
we can do more of these. We can do more of these.
Yeah, whenever you want.
So it's always a pleasure having you guys on. So with that, I'll just let you say goodbye to everyone before I close the show.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. It's the first time.
Say it in Chinese. In Chinese. Just tell them in Chinese. Tell them in Chinese.
I will say it in Chinese.
Yeah.
希望今天做的工作对你们有帮助，然后希望以后我们还有机会做更多这样的节目。谢谢。
And you, Zoe?
In Chinese, or should I?
No, you're in Chinese. Just tell us in
Chinese. Okay. 谢谢大家观看，别忘了点赞、关注。评论转发 I did a promotion of this.
I was going to say they'll tell me afterwards.
I just did that. You should like, comment, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
That was good.
Brilliant. Okay, so with that, all that remains to be said is that episode 120 of the Interpretation Station stands adjourned.
The train is now leaving the Interpretation Station. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Until next time, folks.